Guys, welcome back to our plugin series. So the next plugin we are looking at is something called OptionsPro, and this is what we will be covering in this lecture. One is what are options. This is going to be a very quick overview, and I'll provide you two study resources if you want to study in greater detail. Type of options and what is OptionsPro and what can OptionsPro do, and prompts and demos. So option is basically a contract giving the buyer, which is you, the right to buy, not an obligation in case to buy or sell. So if you have a call option, that is the right to buy. If you have a put option, that is the right to sell the underlying asset at a specific price on or before a certain date. And call option basically is gives the holder the right but not the obligation. What we discussed becomes more valuable if the stock price goes up than the strike you have, which has been called the positive delta. And a long call can be used to speculate the price of underlying rising, and since it's unlimited upside potential, but the maximum loss is the premium you have paid for it. So this is an example of it. So let's assume XYZ stock sells for 100 and you believe it will go up to 110 in 90 days. While traditional investing, you buy 100 shares of $10,000, wait for it to go up to 110 and sell 100 shares for your $11,000 and you pocket $1,000 profit. But if the stock goes down and ends up at 90, in that case you may decide to sell 100 shares at 9,000 and you lose $1,000 if you think the stock will continue to fall. With the call option, you would use the right to purchase 100 shares with a strike price 100 per share, for example, and with an expiration date 3 months into the future, which is set by the seller writer. For this, you may have to pay $1 per share premium, which would result in a total cost of 100 in this case. And one call option is equivalent to right to buy 100 shares, and you guys can do the math yourself. Suppose within those 3 months of you buying the call, stock goes up to 110. At this point, you exercise your option and buy 100 shares at 100 for $10,000, sell them at 11,000, and you pocket 900 in profit minus 100 premium you have made. While this isn't as good as the outright investment, it's still profitable. But if the stock goes down to 90 and you let the option expire, you lose $100 premium instead of 1,000. So again, I'm not encouraging you to do options in this. It is just explaining to you what options are so that we can cover what options pro are. Similarly, the put option, but in the opposite direction. If you expect the price to fall, you can follow through the put, and it's exactly the same stuff in the reverse direction. And let's look at what VIX Options Pro can do for us. So this provides the VIX term structure, and the plot derivative of CBO is VX futures expiration. So if you have watched CNBC and other stuff, volatility index they might mention, right? So currently we are in middle of a debt crisis. So if this deal falls apart, or if these deals go through, if this falls apart, probably you see VIX rising. But if this deal goes through, probably you will see VIX collapsing. So it's the volatility index. Similarly, option trades for any specific day, you can ask what are the directions in which the option trades are going. Similarly, options flow. So this gives you the real time, whether people are positive on a stock or negative on a stock, you can do it. And similarly, option alerts. So we'll look at some of them in the next series. Get option details. So economic events. So you could have jobs report coming, inflation data coming up. So any of those data will provide you that. Similarly, gamma intraday provides the real-time intraday gamma calculated from SPX. SPX is the derivative for S&P 500. Futures derivative for S&P 500. And similarly, you see something similar for get EOD, right? So you have something similar to this. And similarly, this one is the MSI indicator, is the proprietary tool. Market conditions identify investor sentiment. So you might have seen in CNBC or Market Watch, they have something called greed and fear index. So they talk about something similar to this. So market outlook basically provides the market outlook calculated from the volatility positions and options position. It generally gives you an overview of what the market might do. So these are some of the prompts. Let's go ahead and try them. And before you do that, let's go to plugins. Similarly, go here. This is the Options Pro. I've already enabled it, but if you want to do it, I'll show you where you can find Options Pro. Okay, so it's in page 15. So you can install the Options Pro, and once you do it, enable the plugin. So let's go ahead and try the prompts here. The first one is show me the most traded options for a given day. So if you are a trader, I think this is something you use variety of tools. So you can use Market Chameleon, you can use Trend Spider. There are a variety of options which gives you this options data, black box. So you can use variety of tools which gives you this data, but this ChatGPT plugin gives you the free data. So you're gonna get a list of all the options that's traded in a given day. So I think it gives roughly up to 10 options that are listed here. While this goes through, let's work on our next prompt. So next prompt will be focusing on intraday gamma plot for SPX options. Let me say yesterday, right? Because today is a Saturday. So we need it for yesterday. This should be day. So you don't have to type this prompt. So let me provide this prompts for you in a text file. So you can just go ahead and copy paste it. And let's move on to next one. So while this goes through, our next prompt will be, we just want to measure if there is any significant shift in investor sentiment. That's the metric we want to measure. So let's see how that would go. So we got the gamma here, and I'll provide you through the links in Investopedia and some Business Insider. You guys can read through what these terms are, because this is like a very long video. This is beyond the scope of this course, and I don't want to get into more technical stuff behind option trading. So I've given you a rough idea of what are options and what this plugin may be useful for. I'll provide you links. You can go ahead and read it. So next one is, are there any significant shift in investor sentiment? And let's move on to the next one. The next one is, we are going to ask, are there any notable trends or patterns in gamma distribution for SPY options? Cool. So our next prompt is on Nvidia. So let's say that if you have been following news past through days, so Nvidia stock is on fire because of generative AI and the demand for GPUs. So let's see, were people predicting this move in Nvidia, that it was going to move from 300 to 390? So we are next going to ask on the volatility index. And the last prompt will wrap it up with, are there any economic events that we should be aware of in the coming days? So there are a wide variety of events. We are going to go through them. One of them is the jobs report, inflation data. So VIX basically is referred to as the fear index. So generally, as a traditional measure, that as you see, VIX has been rising in the coming days ahead, which basically shows investors don't expect the stock market to go up a lot. This is just their process. This is something which is as of today. This can change in future. So, okay. So for next 30 days, one is non-farm payrolls. It's coming up on May 28th. So its importance is very high because if unemployment rates are going to be higher, then basically the Federal Reserve will slow down the rate hikes. Similarly, unemployment rate, its importance is high. So manufacturing PMI, this is the purchasing managers index. So they just want to see if this number is above 50, that means expansion, below 50 is contraction. FOMC meeting will know if they're going to hike rates further or they're going to hold it, or we are done with all the hiking cycles. And similarly, retail sales gives us a measure how healthy the consumer economy is. So these are some of the metrics we discussed. I hope this helps, and you will have access to these prompts and all the study resources. Hope this helps. Thank you for joining.